Yeah? Good morning. Welcome to the University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Paula, and I'm your service leader for today. My pronouns are she and her if you feel a need to talk about me. This is a good time to silence your electronic bits and pieces as we settle into our shared sacred space, and we will now hear from committee leaders who have something to share with us that we need to know, I'm sure.
Good morning, Margie from membership. In 2 weeks, we're going to have the water ceremony where we will induct new members. And for those who are interested in becoming members, next week, next Sunday at 3 o'clock, we will be doing a Zoom meeting with the second in our series of 2 classes that you need to go through before you become a member. So if you have not gotten the email from me inviting you to attend the Zoom and you're interested in doing so, please see me so I can get your email and we can take care of that. And it should be a good time. And yes, Paula?
The other thing about this water ceremony, for those of you who have never seen it before or done it before, is that you should bring a little bit of water from maybe someplace interesting that you've been or that's symbolic of something important to you about water, because you'll be sharing that with everybody. Thank you.
It doesn't have to be anything exciting like I got this from the Indian Ocean or the Niagara Falls. Sometimes people bring water from the pond behind their house or from the tap at their grandmother's house because those hold such meaning for them. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Janet Levins from Programs. I have good news for all the singers among us, and that is that the choir is starting up again, and we are experimenting with having our rehearsals on Sunday right after church. So for those of you who live farther away and who want to participate, so anyway, the first rehearsal is today after church. So if you want to come, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm James McDevitt-Phelps, the Religious Education Coordinator. I wanted to let everyone know that we have a new volunteer system that's really easy, and you can just pick which dates and times work for you and just push a little button to sign on up. If you want to go ahead and check it out, we have a nice QR code that you can just scan with your phone to go directly to the site. It is during Sundays, it's going to be at the RE sign-in table, but the rest of the week it's just going to be hanging up on the wall outside the office. So you can check that out. If you don't want to use a QR code, we'll also be having a link in every newsletter, the RE newsletter. So I hit the microphone, excuse me. So, go ahead and check that. If neither of those work for you, you can just go ahead and contact me and I'll get you the link. So check it out, volunteer, it's fun.
Hi, Chloe Hatfield on behalf of Women's Group and Kat Mitchell on behalf of the Film Club. We are here because last week I said that Women's Group, which was going to be held on September 8th, we were just going to be talking around, but we've actually collaborated with Film Group, so we will be having like a field trip, at-home field trip to visit Film Group, and we will be watching Lady Bird. That's again on September 8th. It's going to be at 7 o'clock. Please be aware that it is rated R, as there is some sensitive material, so parent discretion is advised when bringing anybody under the age of 18. Anything else? So that will be Women's Group, September 8th, 7 o'clock here at the Sanctuary with Film Group, or Film Club, yeah.
Good morning, Lindsay Stroh, have good news. Many of you know that a former member of our church, Beth Kiefer, who passed away last year, left the church, her home and its contents. And we had a yard sale last fall, and the house has now been sold. And I hear thanks going on. The house has been sold, and we're going to be signing the contract next week. So Martha is out of town right now, and I have been clearing stuff out of the house that can go for our yard sale in November. I have right now just some paintings that are there that are larger. I would love to have someone help me wrap those up and cart them over to a storage unit that is right nearby. Both house and the storage unit are right nearby. I'll be with coffee after church, but please let me know if you'd be available this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon to help wrap up some paintings to get them out of the house before we sell it. Thanks.
Good morning, Marianne Feldheim for Social Action Committee. As you can see on the screen, we are collecting for the Christian Service Center, and if you haven't been following the news, the homeless situation in Florida has it's exasperated. It is exasperating, but it has exacerbated, and the heat has really impacted the homeless. That people are dying because the heat is so bad and they're not finding places. So the Christian Service Center does excellent work in finding homes for them, providing food, shelter, showers. So whatever you can give. They also are asking for the shoes, and it's this big gray box here that we're collecting for, so please think about that. It's something very tangible you can do. We also are collecting for the Knights Pantry at UCF. We did this last year. The big box, the cardboard box over there, is for the Knights Pantry. We'll be taking the donations. Joey will be taking the donations. It's the fourth Sunday of the month. So please, this is for the students who have limited funds and who are putting their efforts towards education. We also have a Social Action Committee meeting this afternoon, actually morning, 11:55. It's in the library. It's also on Zoom, so if you are in Zoom land, the link is in the notable news, so please do come. We have things that we're planning. And the last I would like to reiterate is that we do have the petitions. There are 2 petitions for constitutional amendments that we support and encourage you to sign if you haven't. One is to put abortion on the ballot in 2024 so the people, not the legislature, can make a decision. And the other is the right to clean water. And everything that's happening in Seminole County with water, I think, brings home how important that really is. So thank you. Hope to see you at the meetings. And
just a quick message from the Zoom room from Kelly Buchanan. Marketing committee meeting. There's some of marketing in here, right? Meeting this Tuesday evening at 6. The agenda to confirm our goals for this fiscal year.
Is that meeting on Zoom or is it here?
What did you say that was again?
Oh, that's good. Another round here. Let's go. So Kelly Buchanan in the Zoom room, she gave us a message, a direct message. She says, marketing committee meeting this Tuesday evening, 6:00 p.m., not morning. Agenda to confirm our goals for this fiscal year. It is on Zoom. Should we go around one more time?
And one last announcement for everybody, not just for people in certain groups. We would like to remind everyone that the cold and flu season is coming up quickly. It's complicated this year by yet another strain of COVID. which, while not as deadly, is still quite serious and easily spread. If you are feeling sick at all, please stay home. Keep your germs to yourself. We don't mind that form of stinginess. You can watch our Sunday service online on YouTube or join our Zoom watch party. You can find the links each week in the notable news. And you'll be hearing that message again and again at the beginnings of our services because not everybody heard that one today. Some people are doing something else. I authorized that. My opening words come from Olympia Brown, who was way back then very much for women to be able to stand up and be counted and be listened to, darn it, and to be treated like whole people, not like just some subset of the life of the man nearest to them. And so she said, the grandest thing has been the lifting up of the gates and the opening of the doors to the women of America, giving liberty to 27 million women, thus opening to them a new and larger life and a higher ideal. Yes. And we have some opening music, and Gary will lead us. Michael couldn't be here today.
So this is hymn 38 in the books, if you have a book next to you. That should be on the screen, right? We'll sing 3 verses. We'll have a short introduction. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, bringing completion where God's sweet path. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's a play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Our chalice lighter this morning is Anastasia. Her pronouns are she and her. She'll be coming up here in a second to help me. She's 10 years old and she's excited to enter the castle. What?
Make the box.
Box Fort Sunday?
It's going to be a castle.
When's it going to be?
A castle.
Today? Is that today? Can I go play in it?
No, it's not going to be big enough.
I'll be able to squeeze in Annie. Yeah. Knowing her, she's determined.
In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And we commit ourselves once again to each other. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great fellowship, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. I'd like to also offer a special welcome to our visitors this morning, both in person and in cyberspace. Be here, be happy. We love this, and I hope you love it too. Come several times and get a better sense of the depth and breadth of what we have to offer. Take a moment to say hello to people around you so that everybody here gets greeted at least once today. Yes. Yes. That works so well. Why didn't I think of it sooner? In this congregation, we also share joys and concerns. If you have one to share, we have a microphone here. If walking up here doesn't suit you, I can bring the mic to you, not a problem. Remember that your words are going out into cyberspace where they will live forever, or as long as the system doesn't go down worldwide.
Margie again. This is a small joy. Our carambola, or also known star fruit tree, is producing incredibly so much fruit. So anyway, there's a couple of bags back there. If you want any star fruit, help yourself.
That sounds delicious, but hi, Ender Walker. I have a concern that sadly, like half the school system over in Seminole County has got, like the football teams have gotten sick for the high schools with COVID. So most of the football season is going to be canceled for now.
Wow, that is scary. Joey Cole, on the concern side, I'm struggling at home a lot. So I'm pulling back. I've been pulling back. And I just want to again thank everybody for the support I have been getting from so many different areas within the church. So thank you for that. But I do have a real joy I want to celebrate this morning. And she's sitting right there. Dana Covert has joined our meditation group. She comes with us on Thursdays. And she's been just an incredible person to get to know through meditation, but also she has the most generous spirit of, I think, anyone I've ever known. A couple of weeks ago, Stephanie over there needed a meal. Martha needed a meal. She cooked for everyone. Dana cooked for everyone. I mean, she brought boxes of food for us, chicken that she had cooked and what do you call it? Smoked. I don't do that. So. Anyway, it was wonderful, and I just wanted to celebrate it because it's just so fantastic to meet someone. That's not the only way she's generous, but that's a really good example. Just a wonderful, giving person. Thank you.
Yesterday, I went to the pool with my dad and my sister, and it was fun.
Hi, Chloe Hatfield. I have two joys. The first one is that I have been given the wonderful opportunity of being part of the RE staff. I am going to be with the upper elementary kids, and so I'm very honored to be hired with UU, UUUF. Another teaching joy that I have is that I told you a little while ago that I am volunteering with the Pioneer Village up in Kissimmee, and I have just been placed as the role of school teacher there. So they were like, with your background, we're putting you here. So I'll be there for Pioneer Day in November, at the beginning of November. And I will pass it to Miles. Tell us your name. What do you want to tell us?
I play blocks, and then Aiden's in charge of me.
I have a joy that I am going to make a box fort castle, and I'm going to make one for Miles connected to mine.
So I have a concern, recent news. On Wednesday, my doctor told me and I had to write it down, I have a total mental block about what it's called, a multiple myeloma. It is a form of cancer. It's settled in my spine. That's the bad news. The good news is it is imminently treatable and not a death sentence. I'm told to expect some pain, but I'm not going to die from that anyway. And so I have a little bit of a request. One of the many reasons I love being here on Sundays is I have what I have been referring to as my hug posse. There are several men in this congregation, Barry is one of them, Peter is one of them, who give just the most wonderful hugs, and their wives don't seem to mind. And I get a lot from that, so keep it up. So the other thing I wanted to share was I have a friend of, 40 years plus, who lives in Jacksonville, who I haven't seen in a while. She's coming down to visit me on Monday, and I'm so excited. I haven't seen her in so long. She's a Scrabble buddy, word games, yay. Should be fun.
Hi, Reverend Tracie. I have both a joy and a concern. I'm going to share the concern first. Last week, my mother-in-law, Martha Jones, who is the mother of my heart and has taken that spot as mom, had a medical incident, had to be rushed to the emergency room. Thankfully, it was not a seizure, it was not a stroke. Her blood pressure and her heart rate were fine. They're still trying to figure out exactly what happened. They suspect dehydration. I've told her that the empanadas are cursed because this is the second time she's had to go to the hospital after having somebody over to make empanadas. So no more empanadas. But she is doing well. She's home now. She's resting. So any good thoughts that can go to her, because I'm not ready to lose her yet. She's 90, but she is still trucking as a hardcore little lady. And the joy is, the concern was I wasn't home for that because I was up in Dayton, Ohio for my last semester intensive for my Doctor of Ministry. I submit my paper in the next couple of weeks. I defend in the beginning of October, and hopefully will have the degree conferred to me in December, and then I go back in May to actually walk. So that is my joy. So if you see me breathing great sighs of relief after the next month, that would be why. Thank you.
Take a moment of silence for those joys shared and those kept to people's selves. Amen. So James is bringing us more time for all ages today, and he knows how to do that.
Hello, everyone. So last month, I went ahead and shared with you guys a short story with the help of some people from the audience. Some of you were here for that and might remember with the sun and the north wind. We're going to do something similar again. So we're going to be doing a different story, but I again would like some people from the audience to volunteer to come up and help me tell it. Come on up. Anyone else? It's quite all right. You don't have to speak. Yeah, it's just miming. As many as want to come up. There you go. Okay, amazing, amazing. Okay, so I will need 2 people who want to be goats. Okay, goat 1. Oh, goat 2. Awesome, awesome. Okay, you guys are going to be goats. I'm going to need someone to be the wind. Okay? I can have more than one person be the wind. Okay, wind. And then would you like to be the rushing water? Sure. Okay, awesome, awesome. We have everything. Okay, so what we're going to do is as I tell the story, you're going to go ahead and mime out the actions of whatever I describe your character doing. Now, I just want to be clear, because there will be some, wind blowing people. We're not going to, actually, blow onto other people. We're just going to, mime it around. No, knocking people off of things or anything. Okay? Cool. Just 100% clear here about this. Okay. So are we all ready? Cool. So, once upon a time, there was a big canyon filled with rushing water. And up above this canyon, the only way to get from one side to the other was a thin fallen tree that fell down and made a little tree bridge. Now, on one side of the canyon was a little goat. Wonderful goat. And on the other side of the canyon was another goat. Now, it just so happened that both these goats wanted to get to the other side of the canyon at the same time. So they go to the fallen tree bridge, and they happen to both step onto the tree bridge from opposite sides at the same time. Now, both of them could see that the only way for them to get across was for one of them to back up and let the other one pass first. But neither goat wanted to be the one to back up and let the other pass. So each one of them just kept moving forward towards the other. Eventually, they were horn to horn in the middle of the tree bridge, but there was no room to pass. At this point, a wind started blowing. And it became more and more difficult to stay on this tiny little bridge. And they started swaying back and forth, and it became more and more dangerous. But both goats were not willing to back up and let the other pass. They wanted the other goat to back up and let them pass first. So the wind got more and more severe, stronger and stronger. But the goats, they were stubborn. They refused to back up until, whoosh, the goats fell down into the water below. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. That was fantastic. Yes. Thank you so much for my wonderful volunteers. They really made that story come to life. I am very appreciative. Now, much like the story of the North Wind and the Sun, this story is a fable. It was written to go ahead and have a lesson that the people who listen to it can figure it out. So I'm going to ask you guys, what kind of lessons do you think we might be able to figure out from this story? I'll go to most exercise I get all week.
Don't be stubborn. It always leads to your downfall.
That I think is a very good lesson to get from it. Does anyone have any other lessons or elaborations?
Cooperation always works better.
I think that's also very good. Okay, here we go.
You have to share.
Yes. If they had just shared that bridge, they wouldn't have had an unpleasant swim in the water below, would they? I think that's very true. Anyone else? You want?
You said it originally, Dad, so.
Well, don't be a goat.
Okay, so I think we can see that there's all kinds of lovely, very good lessons we can get from this story, as we can from most stories. It's a very fun game to play, I think. And so I want to thank everyone who helped me tell this story and helped us go ahead and piece out lessons from this story. And I hope you guys are able to hear many lovely stories for the rest of the week.
We're a generous congregation. We pass the baskets around. The children will pass the baskets around. And we will put money in, and then we're going to take some of it out, 40% of it, to support community action groups that are trying to make the world a better place. This week we're going where? Still supporting the Immokalee farm workers who are making life better not only for themselves but for other farm workers all around this country. And so that's a good thing. They're getting treated with more respect, and that's important.
Hey, we're going to sing a hymn during the interlude, because you can do two things at once. You can give money and sing, right? And it's on number 323 in your hymnal. And it wasn't supposed to be with the choir, it's just us. Okay, and this is new music. So I'm going to ask Alicia to play through the first verse for us once.
Not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not the circle, make it wider still, till it includes, embraces all thy living. Come, wander at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people keep no score of wrong and guilt, but will that human bonds be made unbroken. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet. See eye to eye with laughter and elation.
You know, that song has been in this book all these years, and yet it is brand new to us. Amazing. Our speaker this morning, we're going to sing the children out. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. Now you can have our own Reverend Tracie Barrett. I've lost it. And she's going to teach you lots of wonderful things. She does amazing thinking in the night when she wakes up and has nothing better to do.
Yeah, I do a lot of thinking, a lot of the time. Also, be sure after service to go out and see the Box Fort stuff. That's one of our favorite things about Box Fort Sunday, is getting to see the fabulous creations that our youth and children make. So definitely a highlight of the day. So as part of my semi-regular sermon series, Pearls of Wisdom, today I want to tell you about Olympia Brown. She was one of our famous ancestors in Universalist history, and she has pearls of wisdom to share that are applicable for today. Born on January 5th, 1835 in Michigan, Olympia was the oldest of 4 children. Her parents were farmers in the frontier territory, and her mother instilled the importance of their Universalist faith and education. They even built a schoolhouse on their own land for their kids. Now, when she was older, she and her younger sister enrolled at Mount Holyoke Female Seminary. However, the school did not see the same importance of her education as she did. They placed many rules on the female students, just the female students, including dissolving the Browns' literary society that they had created and placing religious restrictions on the students. In fact, a chemistry professor at the school is noted as stating, "You're not expected to remember all of this, but only enough to make you intelligent in conversation." Is it any wonder that Olympia Brown took her education goals elsewhere? And she ended up at Antioch College. And once she began her education at Antioch, she realized that she had to catch up to higher standards. She worked hard to stay up to speed with her fellow students, and she learned that despite the progressive nature at Antioch, there were still forms of discrimination. For example, in Brown's English class, women were not required to have their speeches memorized, as the men did. In a defiant act, Brown delivered her speeches from memory, just as her male counterparts had done. And I'm sure you can imagine at this time that that blew everyone away. When she finished at Antioch, she discerned that she had a calling to be a minister. And after being rejected by many schools, including the Universalist Lombard College, later to become part of Meadville Lombard Theological School, where I went to seminary, she was accepted at the Theological School of St. Lawrence University. Although the school president, a Mr. Ebenezer Fisher, made it clear that he did not think that women should be ministers. In fact, when she applied, good old Ebenezer said, "It is perhaps proper that I should say you may have some prejudices to encounter in the institution from students and also in the community here. Nothing very mighty or serious, I trust. The faculty will receive and treat you precisely as they would any other student. My own judgment is that it is not expedient for women to become preachers, but I consider it purely a question of experience and not at all of right. The right I cannot question. The other matter of expedience or duty I cannot decide for you. I am willing to leave it between you and the great head of the church. If you feel he has called you to preach the everlasting gospel, you shall receive from me no hindrance, but rather every aid in my power." Okay, cool. He's going to let her come, right? Now, in her own autobiography, Olympia wrote, "This, I thought, was just where it should be left, and I could not ask anything better. But when I arrived, I was told that I had not been expected, and that Mr. Fisher had said I would not come, as he had written so discouragingly to me. I had supposed his discouragement was my encouragement, and I went with high hope and great expectation. In spite of the real opposition to my becoming a minister, which I later found existed at St. Lawrence, I was treated fairly by the professors insofar as my work was concerned. Some of them, and also their wives, were even cordial and kind. President Fisher, in despite of his discomfiture at my entering the school, was just to me as a student and never discriminated against me until I began to take steps looking toward ordination." Now, she started in 1861 and graduated in 1863 as the first woman to graduate from an established theological school. But that didn't mean she had an easy jump to ministry. And even though she had preached for a year in congregations in Vermont, the school refused to ordain her. So she wrote to the Universalist Council and traveled to New York to plead her case before the Northern Universalist Association. And the council voted to ordain her. And so on June 25th, 1863, she became the first woman ordained as a minister in the Universalist Church. Now, Antoinette Brown Blackwell, not related, was ordained before Olympia Brown, but Olympia was the first to have the full backing of her denomination. Brown Blackwell was ordained by her local Congregationalist church, but her ordination was not approved outside that ordination. So if you've heard conflicting stories, that's the difference. Olympia Brown was ordained with all the backing of the Universalist Church. And again, in her autobiography, Olympia shared this. Afterward, Mrs. Fisher, Ebenezer's wife, who had been especially opposed to me, had said gloomily to one of my classmates, "You will see now the consequence of this. Next year there will be 15 women in the class, and then women will flock to the ministry." In 2017, 57% of UU ministers were women. So Olympia Brown paved that way. She served congregations in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Wisconsin, and in all her ministerial settings, she was respected as a preacher. Now, she was described by a reporter for the Superior Daily Leader as the female Beecher of the rostrum. The rostrum is where speeches were given at the time. And this was intended as a high compliment, as Henry Ward Beecher was widely considered to be the best preacher in the United States at the time. I mean, they could have also called Beecher the male Brown of the rostrum, but, you know, whatever. However, she didn't have it easy. It was hard to find parishes as a woman in that time. The congregations she served were ones who felt they had no other choice but to have a female minister because they were dying and could not attract a male minister. In her autobiography, she again shares this. There is certainly room for women in the ministry. It is often said of a preacher, he's a good preacher, but no pastor. He does not call upon his people. This is because one man cannot do everything, and the same person is not usually suited to both pastoral work and pulpit service. One of these should be a woman, but women are not urged to enter the ministry. She continues, at a convention a few years ago at La Crosse, Wisconsin, the audience being composed largely of women, a minister addressed himself wholly to young men, showing them the great advantages of Lombard University, a co-educational institution, by the way. I called out, "What about young women, doctor?" He replied, no church had ever asked that a woman pastor be sent so far as he knew. He then described the difficulties which a woman would encounter, but said if a woman accepts these difficulties, Lombard is hers. Now remember, Lombard had refused admission to Olympia Brown. I afterwards showed him that such talk as he had given created a public sentiment against women's preaching. Ministers are themselves largely responsible for the limited number of women who enter the ministry. The churches are prepared by such talk not to want a woman as pastor. Yet notwithstanding this discouragement and small remuneration, a number of women are doing good work as ministers, chiefly in the Universalist and the Unitarian denominations. So she was fighting right from the beginning for equal rights. And so with all of this, she rooted her advocacy into her principles of universalism. Her faith-driven commitment to the inherent worth and dignity of every person fueled her passion for social justice. Her actions were a manifestation of these principles in the real world, inspiring others to recognize the importance of merging faith and activism. She had a relationship with Susan B. Anthony, who preached at her church. And Anthony reached out to her a lot, saying, come, help us with the suffrage movement. Finally, at the urging of Lucy Stone and Lucy's husband, Henry Blackwell, Olympia traveled to Kansas to speak out about women's rights. And according to the history on Olympia Brown at St. Lawrence University's website, quote, although Henry Blackwell assured Brown that he had made all the arrangements for her campaign, she arrived in Kansas to find that little, if anything, had been done in her behalf. She would have to make her own travel arrangements, find lodgings in each town, advertise her speaking engagements, secure the halls in which to speak, and deal with those determined to disrupt her speeches. Often she had to face down hostile townspeople who wanted to discredit her and the cause of women's suffrage. Brown took such obstacles as challenges to be surmounted and kept her eyes firmly on her goal. In spite of unbearable heat and brutal winds, she persevered and mounted a spirited campaign, delivering more than 300 speeches. She was not discouraged when only 1/3 of the voting population, all male, of course, approved the amendment. In spite of the final vote, Susan B. Anthony considered Olympia Brown's work a glorious triumph. Now, I want to make sure you heard that. 300 speeches. She did that in a summer. She was speaking 2 to 3 times a day.
Without a PA system.
Without a PA system, so I had to use that big preacher voice. I can't even imagine. She ended up forming the New England Women's Suffrage Association. She led the Wisconsin Suffrage Association and was the president for the Federal Suffrage Association from 1903 to 1920. By participating in rallies, advocating for women's voting rights, and using her platform to raise awareness, she demonstrated the transformative power of combining religious values with social change. In 1920, she returned to the Racine, Wisconsin congregation 33 years after her resignation from ministry to join the suffrage movement. She spoke on the changes that had taken place during that time frame. She said, "The grandest thing has been," as Paula said, "the grandest thing has been lifting up the gates and the opening of the doors to the women of America, giving liberty to 27 million women, thus opening to them a new and larger life and higher ideal." It's good to hear that one again. She also testified in that sermon to the importance of her universalist faith, saying, "The faith in which we have lived, for which we have worked, and which has bound us together as a church. Stand by this faith, work for it, and sacrifice for it. There is nothing in all the world so important as to be loyal to this faith, which has placed before us the loftiest ideals, which has comforted us in sorrow, strengthened us for noble duty, and made the world beautiful. Do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message, that you are strong enough to work for a great true principle without counting the cost. Go on finding ever new applications of these truths and new enjoyments in their contemplation, always trusting in the one God which ever lives and loves." And I actually quoted this in my program book for my ordination because I would not have been there without her. And it's so good, I want to read it again, and it's in our hymnals as a reading. "Stand by this faith, work for it, and sacrifice for it. There is nothing in all the world so important as to be loyal to this faith, which has placed before us the loftiest ideals, which has comforted us in sorrow, strengthened us for noble duty, and made the world beautiful." This part's important for us now. "Do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message, that you are strong enough to work for a great true principle without counting the cost. Go on finding ever new applications of these truths and new enjoyments in their contemplation, always trusting in the one God which ever lives and loves." Her daughter, Gwendolyn Willis, wrote of her later, "In the work for the admission of women to Christian ministry, Olympia Brown was a pioneer. Her official ordination by the Universalist Church in 1863, antedating that of any other women in any denomination. The ministry was the first objective in her life. Olympia Brown believed that freedom of religious thought and a liberal church would supply the groundwork for all other freedoms. Her difficulties and disillusionments in this field were numerous. That she could rise superior to such difficulties and disillusionments was the consequence of the hopefulness and courage with which she was richly endowed." She also stated that her mother, quote, "was indomitable and uncompromising, traits that do not lend themselves well to politics and leadership. She cared little for society, paid no deference to wealth, represented an unfashionable church, and promoted a cause, women's suffrage, regarded as certain to be unsuccessful. She was troublesome because she asked people to do things, to work, to contribute money, go to meetings, think, and declare themselves openly as favoring a principle or public measure. To honor the centennial of her ordination in 1963, the Theological School at St. Lawrence University unveiled a plaque which reads in part, "Preacher of Universalism, pioneer and champion of women's citizenship rights, forerunner of the new era, the flame of her spirit still burns today." It's a pretty cool legacy, right? Olympia Brown based her work for equality and equity firmly in her Universalist faith. She believed that because God loved all of creation was worthy to be their best selves. That work, that faith, is still woven in who we are today as Unitarian Universalists. We believe in working for equity, justice, and peace. And that work, for it to be effective, must be grounded in faith. We need to use our faith language because everyone else already is. We need to be rooted in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning because this work isn't easy. It takes a long time. As we saw, Olympia Brown worked for 33 years to be able to vote in a presidential election, and she was alive to do so. No one said it would be easy. Legacies rarely are, even our own legacy. So what pearls of wisdom can we take from our history to pass down to our descendants? Will they say of us that we were forerunners of a new era, that the flame of our spirit still burns today? May we, like Olympia Brown, find the strength to embrace our convictions, stand up for justice even in the face of adversity, and let's be real, there's a lot of adversity right now. Let us continue her legacy by being unapologetic advocates for equality and equity, and embodying the values of Unitarian Universalism in all aspects of our lives. Amen. May it be so, and blessed be.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. My closing words are some other thoughts. Yes, yes, you're right. You are so helpful, every one of you. Janet?
Please rise, embody your spirit. We know this one. We'll build a land. So sing out. We build a land where we bind up the broken. We build a land where the captives go free. With the oil of gladness, these songs of morning, oh, we'll build our land, this land that can be. Come, build a land with sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, a justice shall roll down like waters, and peace is like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is known. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may they
my closing words, I've selected yet another thought from Olympia Brown's writing. You know, she was around for a long time, and she did a lot of preaching, as you just heard. So, another one of the things she said that struck me where I live, the more we learn of science, the more we see that its wonderful mysteries are all explained by some simple laws, so connected and so dependent upon each other that we see the same mind animating them all. I like that. Thank you. Be well, be safe, and be happy. Stay here if you want to chit-chat. We still got more coffee over there, and cookies and cake and whatnot. Cherries are there, and star fruit. Yeah, enjoy.